Oh my god. Where do I even get started with this thing? Oh, I'm gonna save you guys all the. I'm gonna save you guys about 5 minutes here. I hate the Redeemer. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what do you mean, Avenger? Do you hate it because it's really bad, or because it's really good, or the classification of the ship? Like, what's the deal here? And I guess we can just kind of get started. Now, obviously, Star Citizen in its current balanced state is in a particularly interesting spot when it comes to turrets and other aspects. This fight here, we're just testing again. We've got a full crew, all the guns are manned, and we've got a nice pre-nose to close the distance, and boom, there goes the Eclipse. But I kind of want to just talk about the ship itself. Currently in 315 on PTU, the Redeemer has two size 3 shields, along with, in my opinion, very strong translational movement. And what I mean by translational movement, I mean, look at how fast it was able to pull that corner. I pulled that corner. If we might be able to actually back that up, but if you watch this next corner, watch the little plus, like the greater than, less than vector indicator. Watch how fast that pulls around now. I pre-nose my way in, I broadside, right? Again, broadsiding the turrets so that as he closes in, I mean, again, this is an Ares heavy fighter. As soon as I get the spot I want, whoop, I just pull my vector right on target, and I'm boom, and I close the distance. And just like that, you know, a heavy fighter designed to kill big stuff like the Redeemer gets absolutely fucking shredded. We thought, okay, let's test the Vanguard. Then maybe something a little more maneuverable, something that's a little more of a purebred fighter might have a chance. But you'll see here, it does not go well for the Vanguard either. Currently, the only way I can describe this thing is I feel like this thing is like the ultimate pay-to-win ship. It's like a faster, more it's like a Vanguard met the a Vanguard met the Hurricane, or sorry, a Vanguard met the Hammerhead and had some weird love child that has basically the same shielding as a Corvette and better guns than any heavy fighter in its class, and a maneuverability profile that, if you look here, is able to compete with fucking heavy fighters. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like this corner right here, I'm full up strafe boost. I'm able to pull my vector around, and I'm able to stay with a Vanguard as he's trying to disengage there. He figures out that he can't get away from me, so he tries to turn the circle fight around, but it doesn't matter because I've got turrets out the wazoo that just auto gimbal right onto him, and it's over. So this is funny here. I thought, okay, this thing is disgusting. So I decided to take it on myself. I thought, okay, surely a Hurricane with a gunner will have a chance against the Redeemer, right? I mean, I can solo Hammerheads easily in a Hurricane, along with pretty much every other ship in the game. There's really no other ship in the game that can handle the Hurricane, except for the Redeemer, apparently, because this video is sped up 4 times faster just so that you guys aren't sitting here for 20 minutes trying to find out what the fuck you're seeing. And if you can tell, obviously I can't get close. I can't close the distance closer than 1,000 meters, because if I close to within 1,000 meters, what ends up happening is you basically just get auto gimbaled to the ground because the turrets have that 20-degree tracking zone. So the only viable choice to fight a ship like this is to fight it at range and to just slowly chip it away. But again, what happens when the ship has the ability to close distance against me? So sometimes I'm on the defensive here because I don't want him getting too close to me. So there's a lot of backstrafing going on. There's a lot of distance control going on. There's a lot of kiting going on. Because if I close distance, it's over. And you'll see here, he gets a few hits on me, and I'm still struggling in the Hurricane to take the shields down on a fucking Redeemer. It's very frustrating, is the best way I can say it. Because the amount of skill, required to fly a Redeemer, I would say is, it's not very high. Especially when it comes to using the turrets, there's almost no skill necessary to use the turrets. And if you have a basic understanding, if you've been watching my videos, if you have a basic understanding of movement and like fighting inside the bubble or just getting any kind of like control on distance, like this Redeemer is winning fights against, you know, purebred combat ships. And so the only really viable way to kill a Redeemer, honestly, is to just swarm it with, you know, with so many people. And it kind of leads me to question CIG's decision on the Redeemer here. As far as I'm aware, the Redeemer, I wouldn't. The Redeemer is not a space superiority combat platform, unless I'm mistaken. And with the current balance that we're experiencing right now in the game, because I'm only talking about what we have currently. I know there's stuff coming down the pipe, but I'm just talking about what we have currently. And what we have currently right here is essentially a hammerhead on steroids. Once you get this thing fully manned, it's absolutely disgusting. You know, very low skill ceiling, high reward. And you know, it's from my position here, like in terms of its flight characteristics, you know, I wouldn't want to see its flight characteristics change too dramatically, because it is nice to have a ship that has a relatively low turn rate but has really nice translational movement, so it can change its vector very quickly. It can really, you know, it can move, and I think that's a good thing. But my problem again is, you know, when you pair this with two size 3 shields, size 3 shields, you know, you get this weird hybrid of a ship that is just essentially unkillable. Now, I'm sure there are lots of Redeemer pilots and owners that are very happy that their ship is performing well, and I am too. But I'd like to see the health of the game take precedence over any kind of meta being formed, because at the moment, the Redeemer is now the new kid on the block. As a lot of times I notice this, when a new ship comes out, it's typically operating on a level that's just so far ahead of all the other ships. Now, whether this is intentional, I don't know, but the point is almost every ship I've seen released in the last couple of years has, you know, has followed this pattern. Whether it's intentional or not, I don't know, but it, you know, when a ship comes out, it's just it's a god. But people need to understand that the reason the Redeemer is such a god is because any kind of like fire that's going to be directed towards you is mostly going to be absorbed by the shields. And as long as you have like a halfway competent pilot, you will be able to close the distance against them. Which means if you can close the distance and you've got 5 guns to just kind of gimbal on and start shooting them, there's really no chance. There's really no chance for any kind of platform to compete against that. If this thing fought a Hammerhead, it would be a no contest. The Hammerhead would lose quite handily. So that's really all I have to say about the Redeemer. I'm not surprised. I figured this ship was either going to be a god or it was going to be useless, and it definitely fell on the side of being a god. Now, Yogi and some of the other devs have said, obviously, combat's it's such an influx thing, and they know that the gimbaling on the turrets is a very temporary fix, right? Because I would like to see a style of fighting where the Hurricane that I was flying is allowed to close the distance against like something like a Redeemer, and the turret gunners aren't getting a 100% consistent accuracy against me. You know, like I want to see turret gameplay become a skill-based thing rather than, you know, you look at a calculator and you look at the number of gunners you have and you go, okay, my gunner can do this much DPS. Like I want there to be a lot more nuance to combat. You know, it shouldn't be so much a numbers game, because right now, you know, unless it's like a chessboard, right? If your enemy puts a Redeemer on the board, you have no choice but to do a ship of equal expense or expenditure in terms of price or performance, because any kind of skill differential is basically washed away with the insane amount of auto gimbal on the turrets and the absolutely ludicrous level of shielding on the Redeemer. So ultimately, guys, thank you so much for watching. These are just my thoughts on the ship. I'm assuming it's going to change, and when it does, we'll put another video out with the changes and we'll see how she's doing. Ultimately, I want every ship to have a place in the game that feels good, but unfortunately right now the Redeemer is now the new meta. There is nothing that beats it except for sheer numbers. Like if you want to kill a Redeemer, you've got to bring a lot of people to the fight to kill that one ship. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Check out Predator Mounts as always. Hope to see you guys all out for stream, and have fun flying the Redeemer. I'll see you next time.